Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing something that is so overdue. I asked you guys on my Instagram like 6 months ago maybe to ask me some questions about what it's like to be a micro-influencer, which I guess that's what I am. It's still kind of weird to say, but I guess a channel of my size is considered to be a micro-influencer. And I asked you guys if you had any questions for me. I got quite a few of them. I thought I could answer them in today's video. If you didn't get a chance to ask me any questions, maybe I can do a part 2 if you do find this interesting. But we're going to be chatting a lot about like PR and just what it's like to having a channel and just, you know, all the questions that you had. And also, if I look different in the intro and the outro of this video, is because originally I was going to make this into a sponsored video, but I decided to move it to a different video instead, which is why I'm looking different, because I'm refilming the intro and the outro, just FYI. But let's go ahead and jump into all of the questions. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that when I do answer these questions, because there were a lot of questions that were quite similar, so I'm just going to kind of bunch them together and answer it in one question. So a lot of the questions that I got were, what kind of quality do I need? Like, can I start with a phone? Do I need a camera? What lighting do I need? And I would say that the most important thing when you're going to make beauty videos, at least in my opinion, is to be able to make sure that you can show things true to color. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need beauty lights, but natural lighting would be amazing. I know how much of a pain in the ass it is to film with natural lighting, because that's how I started. I started filming my videos probably for the first 3 months or so just in front of a window, and it worked great color-wise, but it's very annoying when the lighting outside changes, because it means you have to like constantly readjust your camera settings and stuff like that. And if you're on a phone, you probably wouldn't even be able to do that. But I would say a phone camera is probably perfectly fine to start off with. Phones have come such a long way these days that the quality is definitely good enough to get you started. And I feel like once you start, you don't want to put a lot of money into your equipment and stuff like that before you really know if this is something that you want to do, because YouTube is not for everyone, and you will find that out very quickly after you start if this is something that you think that you will enjoy or not. Like, there are so many aspects to YouTube that I didn't even really think about when I first started, and I didn't understand like how long the process of making a video really was and how much work goes into it. So maybe you find out that you hate editing, and if you hate editing, obviously you're not going to want to sit there and edit yourself for hours on end every time you make a video, and it's just not going to be fun for you. So I would say start with what you have. Don't put too much pressure on yourself in the beginning to make perfect videos, because honestly, no one is going to watch them anyway, unless you somehow get extremely lucky and like happen to have a viral video of some sort, which just doesn't happen. So just expect to not get any views in the beginning, and use the first couple of videos as a learning curve. Learn your equipment, learn how to actually upload videos to YouTube, learn how to edit, and just see if this is something that you want to do. Don't worry about the quality when you first start off. Just try and see if this is something you want to do. And if you realize that it is, maybe you can upgrade eventually, but just start. That is definitely like my main point. Just start. Don't worry about your quality that much. But if you want to upgrade your quality, make sure that you get at least some lighting and a microphone. Make sure that the audio isn't terrible. I'm not saying it needs to be perfect at all, but I'm sure you've clicked on videos in the past yourself where you couldn't see what anybody was doing. Maybe the lighting was way too bright, maybe the sound was way too low, maybe it was too echoey, maybe there was just too much going on and stuff like that. Like, things are off-putting when you do watch YouTube videos, and I'm sure that you've, realized that when you've watched other people in the past as well. So just keep in mind what it is that you want to see when you watch YouTube, and then kind of try to emulate that if you're able to. I also got a lot of questions about just like, how do you get followers? How do you get the word out there? Like, how do you get your channel out there? How do you get people to discover your channel? And honestly, it's hard. But there is a lot of things that you can do to make sure that YouTube pushes your videos. Obviously, in the beginning, YouTube isn't going to know exactly what your videos are about and who to put the videos in front of. And that is like the main challenge when you're first starting off, is just to get YouTube to understand what your channel is and like what your audience is going to be. So there's a lot of ways to do this. I would look into which tags to put on your videos, what kind of titles that you want to have on your videos, and just make sure that whatever it is that you're doing is pretty obvious in the video. Like, don't make your video be all over the place. Maybe focus on like 1 or 2 subjects, and that way your channel kind of makes sense and it's easier for YouTube to pinpoint your audience. And then maybe down the line, if you want to kind of branch out a little bit, you can do that, but it's definitely a lot easier to just stick to a certain subject in the beginning and don't jump around too much. In the beginning, I would say that maybe a good idea is to start off by making videos that will show up when people are searching for them. So make something that is kind of relevant to what is going on, you know, whenever it is that you are starting, whether it is makeup related, maybe like talk about new makeup releases. If you can't buy them, of course, it helps to, you know, be able to review relevant things. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say that reviews don't get any views, because they definitely get a lot of views, and it also is search content. So it is something that is popular and that people are going to be looking for. So if you can afford it, maybe put in a couple of reviews here and there if that is the kind of channel that you want to be. Otherwise, maybe just see what like bigger channels are doing and maybe try to do the same kind of thing. That way your video will be suggested next to theirs, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly like how well that works, because it wasn't really something that I did when I first started off, but I definitely jumped on tags that were floating around. Tags were very popular when I started, so if someone did a tag, I would do the tag and hopefully that video would be suggested to someone. Or if there was a Sephora sale, I would like make a video talking about my favorite Sephora products, and just, like I said, keeping things kind of relevant, but obviously still doing videos that I wanted to do. It's kind of a balance trying to, you know, get your channel out there. It can be kind of tough, and it took me quite a long time to really make my videos get shown to more people. I also was quite lucky in that I was able to do a couple of collabs when I first started off, and my first video also did pretty good. I did a eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video. Those videos always do amazing. If you want to start off on a strong note, do that video as your first video, and I promise that it will get views, because people love those videos, and it's just a good place to start. Collection videos in general, definitely start off with a collection video or two, because you're definitely going to get some views on those. Another tip that I would say for just getting your videos out there is honestly to subscribe to a couple of channels that are like how to do YouTube related. Like there's a lot of awesome creators who make very helpful content for new content creators like myself, and it's one of the things that I found to be the most helpful, honestly, because they really put all of the things out on the table, what you need to do when you're first starting off a channel, just like how to set up your channel page, how to do this, how to do that, things again that you don't really think that you have to do before you get started, but it's super, super helpful, and it's just kind of a shortcut to just be able to do all of those things right away and not really have to worry about it down the line, whether or not you made your playlist, you've done this, you've done that. It's important to just have a pretty structured channel from the beginning and like make people know that you are serious about this, if you are, of course. If not, don't worry about anything that I'm saying here, but if you are serious about your channel, make sure that people know that you're serious about your channel. I also got a couple of questions about like editing software and what to use to edit and stuff like that. I would say that start off with something that's free if you're able to. If you have a Mac, Mac has iMovie, and iMovie is free. I started with iMovie. I used iMovie for probably the first year and a half. Did I use it for longer than that? I think that's when I upgraded to Final Cut Pro, which is what I have now, but that program does cost a lot of money and you do have to pay $300 to be able to use it. But there's a lot of other softwares where you pay like a monthly fee instead of a one-time huge fee like Final Cut Pro. So maybe if you wanted to try something a little bit more advanced, I'm not sure what all of the different softwares out there are, because like I said, I've only really used iMovie and Final Cut Pro, but there's a lot of options out there. But if you have access to a free one, definitely play around with that first. Like I said in my first question, you never know if you're going to end up liking editing, because it is hard and it's a very steep learning curve. There's a lot to get into. It takes a lot of time when you first start off, but don't let that stop you, because once you get the hang of it, it's so easy, and it gets so much more fun once you realize that you can actually do the things that you want to do. You can express yourself in the way that you edit, and you can really like put yourself into it if you want to. Of course, like I said, it is very time consuming, so it's up to you how much time you want to spend on the editing part, but once you do get the hang of it, it really is a lot of fun. Here's another question that I think is very interesting, and this person says, how long should your videos be when you're first starting off? And I would say that maybe try to keep your videos to a bit of a shorter length, because number one, you don't want to spend a ton of time making like an hour-long video that probably nobody is going to watch. Like, let's be real. So if you can try to get your videos down to a bit more of a concise and not too rambly amount of time, I think that is more important, not only for your own sanity, so you don't spend forever on videos that probably won't get a lot of views, but also it'll just give you more time to create more content, and it will make people probably more likely to subscribe if you're not all over the place and like your videos are too long, because in the beginning, you're probably going to ramble, you're probably going to not be the best at editing, your lighting is probably not going to be the best, and so most people are probably not going to want to watch a 30-minute video from you anyway, and that's not me being rude, that's just me being realistic, because I know that my videos in the beginning weren't great, and that's just the case with most people who do start YouTube. So I would say keep them maybe to like 10 minutes or something like that. You also don't want them to be too short. You do want your audience to be able to just see your personality a little bit and like figure out like who you are and whether or not they jive with you, but don't make them too long. Also, some questions that I got a lot were, how do you learn how to XYZ? And basically, I didn't know anything when I started. I didn't know anybody who knew anything. So I basically Googled everything or YouTube everything. And if there was something I didn't know, I would just Google or YouTube how to do whatever it is that I was trying to do. And it took a lot of time, but you know, eventually answers show up. There's always someone who's had the same problem that you're having or who's wondering the same things that you are. And so there's always going to be answers on the internet, and the internet is just great for finding information. So just search for it, honestly. Or if you really are brave, you can reach out to someone who maybe you look up to, someone that you feel like would be able to help you. I've had people reach out to me and ask me questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them most of the time. If someone wants to send me an Instagram message and be like, hey, like, how do you do this? If I know the answer, I'm going to answer, and I'm sure that most people are the same way. So if there are somebody that you maybe look up to, somebody whose setup and lighting you really like, maybe just like send them a message and be like, hey, can you help me with this? Like, how do you feel about this or that? Most people are very willing to help, and I would say don't be afraid to slide into someone's DM. Just be nice about it, you know? Here's a question that says, how many subscribers did you have before you started making money on your channel? And this is a very generic answer because basically you need 1,000 subscribers along with 4,000 hours of watch time. And that can be quite hard to get, especially when your views just aren't as high because you don't have a lot of subscribers. So getting that amount of watch time to go along with 1,000 subscribers, it can take time, but once you get to that point, you can apply to be part of the AdSense program. Usually you will get it approved pretty quickly. And once you do, you will start making money from your views, but it's not going to be a lot. When I first started, I think I made maybe $100 in my first month, and that was me basically uploading every single day. So keep in mind, if you're uploading, you know, less than that, it's not going to be a lot of money, and you also don't get a check from YouTube until you've made your first $100. So it might take a while, but I've been pretty lucky just because I've been uploading so much this whole time ever since I started my channel that once I was approved to get money from YouTube, I have gotten a check every single month since I started, so that is awesome. And I think the rules are still the same. I don't know. Sometimes YouTubes will like switch up things and like the requirements that they have for certain things. Like I know when I first started having my membership, you had to have 30,000 subscribers to be able to have like memberships on your channel. And now I've seen a lot of smaller channels who have memberships on as well. So I don't know, like I said, if it is still 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, but I think that is what the requirements are still. Someone also asked me, can you already live from this? How soon could that be for starters? Thank you. It really depends on what you consider a livable wage, I guess. I would say currently for me, AdSense wise, I'm probably making around minimum wage. So it takes a lot to get to a point where you're making a lot of money from YouTube, but I also get, you know, now money from affiliate links. I have sponsorships that I do. All of the small things kind of add up. I also have codes now with brands, which also really help. All of the small things really do add up, and you should not rely on AdSense alone because you're really not going to get that much unless your channel somehow gets a shit ton of views. It is very, very hard to get views on YouTube, at least for me. At least I feel like it is. Like I feel like I'm working my butt off and I'm still not getting that many views, but it also just depends on the content that you're making. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit and maybe make content that you don't necessarily really want to make if you think that is going to get you views, or you can decide to go the other route and just not care about the views at all and make the content that you want to make. When you've done this for a while, you kind of realize what does good and what doesn't do good on your channel, and you just have to make decisions accordingly. Some people just go for the views and they only make content that they think will do really good, but I find that that is a way to really get burnt out quickly, and I want to have fun with my channel, even though I do have goals with my channel and I do want to grow and I do want to, I do want to make this into something more than what it is because I love doing this and I want to be able to do this for a very long time because like I said, this is awesome. Like if you get to a point where you're able to do this for a living, and thankfully I've been able to do this from the very beginning because because I have a very supportive husband, and we've also been doing pretty good financially like outside of this. So it's just been very nice for me, and I've been in a very lucky position where I've, you know, had the opportunity to spend a lot of time from this from the very beginning, and I've been able to have goals from the very beginning, and I know that is not realistic for most people. But don't give up, because everybody can get to the point where I am. Like, I am literally a nobody, and I'm still making, you know, okay money from this now. And it's really, really nice. And the best thing about this is that it's always going to get better from where you are. You know, it's tough for your channel to just completely tank. Like, once you get to a point, you're only going to climb from there, and you're only going to have more brands reach out. You're going to have more opportunities. You're going to get more views, more subscribers, and it just builds and it escalates, and it's just amazing. I'm by no means sitting here saying that you should quit your job to do YouTube, or that you should start YouTube with the goal of having it be, you know, a career and something that you make a shit ton of money from, because it is maybe a little bit unrealistic to have those kind of expectations, but I think it's okay to be hopeful. I think it's okay to try at least, you know, like, why not? What do you have to lose? It's so much fun, and I've met so many amazing people along the way, and I'm just having such a good time just doing what I'm doing right now. And if you want to try it, I would say go for it. A question that I got a lot was, how do you get PR? How do you get on PR lists, and, you know, everything surrounding that, and like, how does PR work? And I would say that put yourself in a brand's position and be like, who should we send PR to? Obviously, if you were a brand, you would send PR to the people who are already using your products, already featuring your products, already loving your products, and that's usually how it goes. It's been very, very rarely that I've been reached out to by brands whose products I'm not already promoting or liking. So I would say that if your goal is to get PR, feature that brand a lot, and let them know how much you love their brand. That is the best way to get on anybody's PR list. A PR list that I would love to be on is ColourPop. I love ColourPop, but they just haven't come out with, like, I don't know, stuff that I've been really interested in for a while, and so I just haven't featured their products a lot. But I think that's going to be one of my goals for 2021. Would be so awesome to get on ColourPop's PR list. So maybe I'm going to start buying some more ColourPop collections and just doing videos with them. Maybe I'll be discovered by them. Maybe they're gonna want to send me PR. Maybe they'll, you know, put me on their PR list. Who knows though, with how honest my reviews are. Sometimes that can hurt you, but it just depends on if you want to be a review channel or just a tutorial channel. If you are a review channel and you are as honest as I am, some brands don't like that, and you're probably not going to end up on a PR list. But honestly, like I said, best way to get on a PR list, just keep using the brand, keep tagging the brand, keep making sure that you're making a lot of content with the brand that you want to get on their PR list from. And that's usually how it goes. And sometimes brands will just find you as well if they like the content that you're creating. Maybe you're using products that are similar to what they have, and they see that and they want to send you their products to try out. There's obviously a reason why so many brands want to send me their eyeshadow palettes, because mainly what I do on my channel is eyeshadow palette reviews, and it makes sense that no one is like, hey, we have this foundation range coming out, would you like to try it? Because it's not what I do on my channel. So again, it depends on the kind of niche that you're in. Maybe you're into like subscription unboxings. You're probably going to have more brands who do subscription boxes reaching out to you and wanting to send you boxes. So I don't know, it's just, you just have to feature a lot of products to be able to get noticed, and you're probably also not going to get noticed until you have built a bit of a fan base. So it's gonna take a little while to get on any kind of PR lists. I personally wouldn't reach out to brand themselves, because I find that to be maybe a little bit desperate. And if I were a brand owner and people DM me asking if they could be on my PR list, I would probably block them and be like, bitch, f off. Another question that I got a lot was, how do you stay motivated? How do you push through making videos on days where you don't feel like making videos, and so on? And honestly, the best thing for me and my own mental health is just to not have a schedule at all, and just let myself take time off if I feel like I need to take time off. And I don't know, that just really helps me. Like, I am a very self-motivated person in general, so if I'm having a good day, I'm going to film, and if I'm having a shitty day, I'm not going to push myself to film. But if I feel like I can film, I still will film, but I'm never going to force myself to film on days where I don't want to film, because I know that is probably the best way to really get sick of YouTube and like not want to do this anymore. Because I want to make sure in my videos that, you know, I am in a good mood. Like, I want this to be an escape for you. I don't want to bring my problems into your life, even though sometimes I do talk about them, but I do try to mainly keep my channel a positive place, because that is what most people want to see. That is why I feel like most people watch YouTube, is because they want YouTube to be an escape from reality, and that's what I want my channel to be. So on that kind of note, I don't want to make videos when I don't feel like I'm in the right mindset to do so, which thankfully is most of the time, because I love doing this, and so it's hard for me to have a really bad day where I just don't want to film at all. It's way more likely that I'm just not in the mood to edit, because the editing process is quite tedious. But I love filming, I love playing with makeup, and I'm very lucky that I am in the position that I am, and I acknowledge that. And I also don't want to be lazy and just, you know, not do anything, because I am so lucky to be able to do this, that I want to show my appreciation, I guess, or just the gratitude I have for the job that I do have, if you want to call it that. So I love doing this, and for me it's quite easy to stay motivated. Also, new products really help me stay motivated, if I'm being completely honest. Like, if I get a new package, I'm so much more excited to film than if I have to come up with some kind of another video idea that doesn't revolve around trying something new, because trying new makeup is just a lot of fun. I know that's not realistic for everybody though, and I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying at all like go out and buy all the new makeup, but if you can afford it, if it helps you stay motivated, maybe do a couple of reviews here and there if you can. So those were all of the questions. Like I said, if you want to see a part 2 to this, I can absolutely do so, because I feel like there are still a lot of topics and stuff to cover. So if you want to see that, let me know, and I will ask you for questions on my community page as well as my Instagram. So don't leave the questions down below under this video, because I'm probably not going to be able to like go back to 3 different places to look for the questions next time. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in tomorrow's Annette video. Bye.